Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a topic of how we can end a cancel culture issue. So, when it comes to this video, I'm going to explain in a simple and straightforward way how we can end this issue for good. You know, instead of having this issue between what is offensive and what is not offensive, and so on and so forth, going on for that matter, as it's been going on for quite some time now. Okay, so now I mention that, let's get started. So, when it comes to the topic of how we can end a cancel culture issue, it simply comes down to the fact of doing something I refer to as drawing the line. Okay, and when it comes to the topic of drawing the line, what drawing the line means is that you set the limits. You set the very boundaries of what is not offensive versus what is offensive. Okay, so if you're making things like, at least if you're someone who produces entertainment, whether comedy, obviously things like music, TV shows, movies, video games, you will realize that there is a barrier between what is something that is just okay, just something that's like a joke, or just something that is just simply in general, um, like just meant to be just entertaining, it's or whatever for that matter, okay? Between something that is genuinely offensive, okay? And that's the best way we can do it, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to entertainment, there, of course, no surprise to anyone for that matter who uses their brain, there, of course, is going to be, sometimes things that people might consider offensive, whether it comes down to how they depict the culture, of people, or whether it comes down to maybe the topic of the type of people, they're referring to, whether it could be people who are mentally ill, or like people who might have certain lifestyles, so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, okay? Because when you make entertainment, you obviously have to talk about a variety of topics, or else it gets boring and redundant and repetitive. Okay, so as a result of course, covering a variety of topics, you're going to talk about all sorts of things, whether it comes down to people's nationality, religion, race, gender, so on and so forth. There's going to be a variety of things, of course, you're going to talk about. No surprise to anyone who knows anything about entertainment. You have to cover a wide variety of things, okay? And the thing is, of course, when it comes to, of course, being able to create good quality entertainment, like anything, okay, of course, for that matter, you have to draw the line, okay, between what is genuinely objectively offensive versus what is not offensive, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, if you're not able to do that, then you're just gonna have a lot of issues, a lot of controversy, a lot of drama, and so on and so forth. And we're gonna continue to be having these wars that have been going on between people, between this is offensive, this is not offensive, and so on and so forth, which you can clearly see has caused a huge, or I should say helped create a massive political divide in America between the left and the right, okay? And that's the truth of the matter, okay? When it comes to, of course, this particular issue. Now that I mentioned that, of course, the question comes up, what exactly is the way you draw the line, okay? When it comes to talking about what is offensive and what is not offensive, okay? Um, well, the answer to that question is simple, okay? When it comes to people, based on a few basic things that pretty much everybody kind of falls in a category of, whether it comes down to race, religion, gender, you know, and the last one would be, maybe if anything, nationality. The four main things that everything falls in a category of, somebody in some way falls in a category of. We need to realize, that there's a limit between what is offensive and what's not offensive, okay? Like for example, let's use comedy as an example, okay? If I'm making a joke about any of those four groups of people, okay, um for that matter, okay, whether it comes down to those four things, like I said before, I mentioned, there's a difference between this is offensive versus we're just kind of satirizing, the situation, which is the point of comedy. It's to talk about the world and satirize the world, and sometimes through satirization it helps make people realize what the actual real, you know um or I should say, it helps people understand the issue a lot better. Whatever the point of the matter is, you get the point. And comedy is meant to be entertaining, and sometimes satirization is a good way, to kind of, help with the issue, okay, in one way or the other, okay. And when it comes to these issues, this issue, more like, for that matter, of the four groups that everybody kind of falls in, you know, the truth of the matter is, okay, when you are making a joke about those four things, okay, there's a difference between, like, for example, race, making a joke about, like, black people, obviously, like, all black people are really good at basketball, and, they're naturally good musicians, and, oh, black people don't do this, black people don't do that, versus making fun of them and saying, oh, you guys are descendants of slaves and this and that, and putting on blackface. When it comes to, obviously, religion, there's a difference between, making like a harmless, maybe a Muslim joke, like, oh, okay, Muslims, when I see a Muslim and I'm on a plane, for example, and he starts singing, in like in Islamic language or something, well, I should say in, singing a song from the Quran or something, okay, I'm gonna be like, oh shit. Like, is this guy gonna bring the plane down? Like, it's a silly joke versus maybe making fun of the Prophet Muhammad, which they don't take funny at all. You're not supposed to depict an image of the Prophet Muhammad, okay? So that's a second point I'm trying to get across, okay? Making fun of the Prophet Muhammad and how he looks, you know, or just maybe saying the Prophet Muhammad was gay or something like that. And when it comes to the other things as well, like gender, we're not going to make fun of women, for maybe, for example, saying that a woman never invented anything. And for, of course, nationality, we're not going to make fun of people for, like, national tragedies, like make fun of Britain for, like, the 2005 London bombing, or maybe make fun of someone who they consider a hero in the nation, yada yada yada. You get the point, okay? The point I'm trying to get across here, the main point at least now, is that you have to draw a line between what is offensive and what is not offensive, okay? And that is the honest truth of the matter, okay? Because the truth is, even though, of course, like anything, you can't keep everybody happy, the truth is, when you draw the line like this, you can keep the majority of people happy, and the majority of people, when they're happy, of course, it of course results in how things are done, for that matter. The world we live in, not just now, but forever, has always been based on what the majority of people friggin' think. So, in short, to answer your question, though, without a shadow of a doubt, to put it bluntly, okay, as long as we follow what the majority, as long as the majority of people agree with this, then we can end this issue, for that matter. And it's not even just a case of it just being based on, oh, it makes the majority of people happy. It's just a logical idea for how we can prevent this issue from happening. So it's an objective thing, you know, for that matter, when it comes to what is offensive and what's not offensive. Okay. I know some stupid people will still get offended, but those are dumb people. Okay. Let's not focus on dumb. Let's focus on the majority of people who are intelligent and actually, to a certain extent at least, and actually use their head, and not people who just get offended by every little freaking little thing, for that matter, okay? And that is honest truth. So, in short, to sum things up, if we want to end the cancel culture wars, and all this type of crap, and this whole wokeness crap, we have to learn to draw the line, okay? Because a lot of people we're taking things too far, and it create a lot of drama and a lot of chaos. And as a result of that, that's why we have the culture wars between people like we have now, okay? So if we draw the line, then I'm certain things will be a lot better, and it won't be as bad when it comes to, of course, other groups of people complaining against each other, and and saying, oh, this is racist and this and that, like we've been having for some time, okay? Because back in the days before things got as out of hand as it did, when, like during, like, for example, the 2000s, you didn't really hear people complaining about things being offensive like they were now, because things were not as extreme. It's only until like later on things got a bit out of hand when it came to rate to jokes and so on and so forth. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get across. If you can learn to draw the line, then people will not have the issues that they have now. Okay, and that was the honest truth. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it, and not just enjoyed it, but I hope you found this to be a great example of how we can find a solution to ending this whole cancel culture thing. And this is all I have to say. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs the video up and the subscribe button. And that is it. And simply put, I'm out. So bye.